Hello, you two. Here's a treat for you, something that's very vintage.
I'm full of the vintage.
Before there were laptops, there were something called luggables.
Or PCs. Portable computers.
It's definitely portable. It's got a handle.
Nice leather handle. I love that handle. Actually.
Yeah, it's a nice handle. But back then they had what were called luggables, and they looked a lot like a sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Compaq Plus of that variety. These were typically 8088 based machines, or sometimes XT clones or AT clones or something along those lines, that you could take with you to do business work and run things like maybe Lotus 123 or VisiCalc or something. I think VisiCalc. I don't know if VisiCalc was ever ported to DOS. That was an Apple II piece of software, but here's the machine. It does have these little stand things on the bottom, which is kind of nice. And it has these little doors that pop down when you...
This is the power supply side. This one always was finicky. No, this isn't the power supply.
This is the power supply. This is the ISA card side. That
hard drive.
That is
it's a slot hard drive.
I believe that's an ISA hard drive. We'll have to look at it once we open it up. That is the video card there. It looks like a CGA or composite video.
Mm-hmm.
That is a parallel port card, which might have other things involved on it, such as a floppy and a hard drive controller. We'll have to look. But I don't know if there's even a floppy in this machine. I don't think there is.
There is.
Oh, there is.
Front, I think. We'll find out.
Oh, yeah, there might
This
be.
is the power
Okay.
supply.
You open that. On this side, you get IC power, a nice, juicy, big power switch. Look at that.
This is the original cord that goes with it, too.
The original power cord, there's a cooling fan in there.
I love this power cord.
It is an angled IEC connector.
Power cord.
Yep, it's an angled IEC connector, which, you know, I'd love to have one of those these days. Most of mine are not L-shaped at all.
Mm-hmm.
But in here, there's some interesting things on this sticker here. There's manufactured by Compaq Computer Corporation, made in the USA. Back when the United States had a thriving computer industry in Silicon Valley and Commodore in Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is near where we are right now, actually. The model... Yep, 20 minutes down the road. Model Compaq Plus. So as you can see, there weren't too many models of these. It was just a plus. So let's actually open the machine. And to open the machine, you flip it on its side, flip those clips, and you get a keyboard that's attached to a screen.
See, here's the drive, 5 1/4 inch.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, there is a floppy drive in here.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive with a lock on it. I believe I'm holding this the wrong way, actually. There we go. So I bet that's probably a 360K floppy drive. I have discs that could go in here, but unfortunately the machine doesn't power on, so we're out of luck.
The machine powers on. The screen is ruined.
Oh, the monitor doesn't work.
Since we have the external...
But there's a video card in there.
I just don't have the cables to connect to anything.
But you need a CGA monitor of some sort to connect to this, or even a monitor.
Or the composite video out.
Yeah, you could probably connect that to a Commodore monitor or something along those lines. But this is the keyboard, which is sort of it's a very unusual layout. It's sort of it reminds me a lot of the IBM Model F keyboard. Where
if only gaming keyboards were like this today.
Yeah, I know. It has function keys on the side. I'm not sure what the switches are on this keyboard. They kind of feel like they don't have much travel to them. I'm not sure. I wonder if you can take a keycap off.
I don't know. I haven't tried. I never did. I love how the arrow key... Oh, no, those aren't even arrow keys. This is actually backspace and enter. Okay, never mind.
It feels like a mechanical key switch of some sort. I wonder if it's... I don't know what these are. Maybe you guys know. If you guys know what these are, if you know what kind of switches these are, leave it in the comments. Because it definitely feels mechanical to me. But the interesting thing is it has a layout for the arrow keys that's interesting.
What I just realized, it has an upgrade sticker. Hard card.
Hard card. I think that's the card for the hard drive, actually. Because this computer would not have come with a hard drive originally. So we open the top here and look at this. It looks like a VCR from the 70s.
It's a fortress. This
everything
thing is always a pain
everything
to take
is
apart.
just gigantic metal plates. It's built like an absolute tank. They don't make these like they used to. Let's put the keyboard back in. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's a brightness control down there.
There is.
So
Now the thing is, it did work when we first unearthed it. It booted into some form of a DOS shell, but wasn't giving any feedback, so we wrote it off as a dead hard drive. And then it ran for a few hours, and then the screen just died.
the screen just turned off all of a
When
sudden.
I opened it up and looked inside, it gave there's a whole bunch of stickers all over the thing for warning, X-rays.
because CRTs emit X-rays if you're not careful.
And this is a green screen.
Yeah, this is a green phosphor monochrome display, which actually has adjustments on the top to reduce the risk of electrical shock. Disconnect power cord before servicing. So you can actually adjust the screen quite easily through these holes over here. You can adjust the master HT, the vertical,
Okay.
the vertical lines, brightness, high scan HT, the master video center, I think, high scan video center.
What happened to
The
that
focus
pair of
and the
pliers? I
width.
need my pliers to get that thing loose.
I don't know,
I think you're sitting on them.
but we're gonna open this and we'll take a look at what's inside. If you wanted to service one of these machines,
It's a pain in the ass.
yeah, it's a complete pain in the ass because it's just there's screws everywhere. It's like working on a modern Macintosh from a few years ago. The PowerBooks, the MacBooks that didn't have the aluminum body quite yet.
It's only
Screws.
a bitch though because I don't have a screwdriver. for it.
Screws everywhere.
But it has the octa head screws, so I can at least get a little bit of torque
Yep.
using my pair of pliers, probably from the same era as this dang machine.
Well, anyhow, we'll get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, we have most of the covers off after like 15 minutes.
So many hurt fingers.
This is our professional tool of choice. If you don't have a flathead screwdriver, use a PCI slot cover.
Win.
Works absolutely perfect.
These screws are so shallow.
They are.
shallow.
Look at them. They're just
Shallow.
The interesting thing, though, is that these panels that we took off are very, very light metal. They're made of brass. As you can hear, very bright. Or very bright. Very, very light. I can talk today. It's late. Whatever. So, in here, there is a hard drive. I'm not sure if it's MFM or RLL or what, but it's not connected to anything. You can see two card edge connectors in there. I don't know if I can make anything out. It looks like a made in USA though. It says on there. No, made in USSR.
Wait, what? Really?
Is that
That's
USSR?
awesome.
No, it's USA. Okay, I was wrong. It's hard to read that in there actually.
Yeah.
The hard drive also has like on the one looks like the power connector or just an alternate connector of some sort. There is a modification that's been done to that card edge connector. There's a like a little cut there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. There's a cut into that card edge connector there. I guess that was to block off a pin maybe. I don't know.
That's cool.
It looks a little weird. But here's the floppy drive. Floppy drive uses a uses a card edge connector as well, just like the old styles do.
Oh, that's so cool.
And here's the inside of the analog board, your CRT assembly. There's your flyback. There's your tube there. Who makes this tube? Zenith actually makes the tube. Zenith made really good CRTs too, so that's good.
I'm surprised it died.
It has warnings about X-ray and implosion, which is always, always safe. Please bring this around your kids, because they'll just have wonderful fun times afterwards.
I love being sterile, Daddy. Me too, son. Me too.
But it has warnings about X-rays and things like that, because I assume that these tubes were strong. This is a green monochrome CRT that has the green phosphor in it. So, you know, it's from that era. But there's all the controls for the TV. They're just cheap plastic potentiometers, it looks like. Really cheap ones. There's a bunch of modular connectors in there. And looks like that's a fan. And here are the ISA slots. This thing is 8-bit ISA, as is what comes with the territory of that time period. This is an 8-bit ISA hard drive. And I don't know if any of you guys ever used these back in the day, but I can't imagine an ISA hard drive being super fast when it's built onto the card, but I could be wrong, because most hard drive controllers were on 8-bit ISA slots back then, so correct me if I'm wrong. As far as these other cards go, I know this is the video card. We'll take a look at that, and this I think is a floppy and hard drive controller card.
Yeah.
So we'll unscrew those, and we'll take a look at each card. Excuse my recognition, but this part down here, when I was going over the CRT stuff, this is the actual power supply of the unit. They zip-tied the capacitors together. As you can see, there's a transformer down there. It looks like something in that metal can there. Bunch of resistors and stuff on the board there.
And lots of dust. Don't forget the dust.
Yeah, there's much dust in here. That, I'm not sure what that is. It's probably a oh, I don't know what that is. It looks like maybe it's something to do with the power supply. I'm not sure. But that has a vent right there, and the fan right there helps it escape. Okay, we got all the ISA cards out of this so you can see the board better. And you can actually see what's back here a lot more. You can actually see quite a bit of the floppy drive. There's the connector that's on there, and there's the Molex connector that goes on there. See, they used Molex connectors up until just a few years ago when they came out with SATA power. There's a capacitor right there on the floppy drive. You can see a little bit of what makes it tick. There is more of the actual hard drive in here. I don't know what this is. There's a serial number there. It was definitely made in the USA. It's hard to tell what kind of drive this is. I'd guess it was, based on its age, it's probably an MFM hard drive because it's from a 1982 machine.
But you're right, though, when you noticed stuff's been...
The thing is that I didn't even notice it down there. There's a modified card edge connector right there on one card edge connector, and on the other there's also another sort of sawed through thing. So someone definitely did a hack job on this. I'm not sure to what purpose, but they took away something between a pin. I don't know what that's for. Maybe any of you guys that had these machines back then would know what that was for. But as you can see, it has 5 8-bit ISA slots. Down there is the processor. That is a unfocused. That is an 8088 processor, an Intel processor from about 1981. It looks like is when the design was 78 through 81. This means that this is an IBM PC clone of some sort, made portable, and that means you can't do a whole lot with it, but you can probably play some old games on it, like maybe Paratrooper or something. Below that is behind that's another slot, which might be a coprocessor slot. I'm not quite sure. Who can be sure? Over here, there is a ton of memory on the board that you can remove and upgrade and whatnot.
It's all been filled in, too.
Which means this thing's been fully souped up. Let's see if I can zoom in on a chip here. Come on, baby. Oh, there we go. These are memory chips. They're all made in Malaysia. They look to be all about the same. So this upgrade was done all at once. It wasn't done over time. So whoever upgraded this had the money to do so. What else is there? There's another mysterious slot right there. I don't know what that's for. It says amp on the actual the middle of there. I don't know what that is. There's some dip switches over there for setting the settings on the board. There's not much else to these machines, really. There's another NEC chip down there. I don't know what that does. But now we should move to the cards that were in this machine. I think we should start with the video card. This looks to be a monochrome CGA adapter of some sort. Probably similar to the IBM CGA board that came with the original PC. At least it's a clone of it, maybe. This is original to the machine, because as you can see it says Compaq Computer Corporation 1982 right there. As I showed you in near the beginning of the video, it has CGA output as well as composite video. I think that's composite video anyway.
And this is actually
this is the internal connector.
Was plugged into the board.
That connects to the analog board, and that connected right there on that jumper pin right there. There you go. It's just a header style connector. And there's a crystal right there, made by Fox, I guess. I don't know if that's the company name or not. There's a nice Motorola chip right there. That might be the main video chip. I'm not sure. I don't know the circuitry of these too well. Looks like there's a Compaq chip right there, made by Oki. And this I thought was interesting. There's just 4 diodes there and a couple of resistors. This is back when video cards had discrete components on them, so if a capacitor goes boom, like maybe one of these orange drops here, you could just literally solder a new one on and your video card would be fixed, unlike now where if the GPU itself gets too hot, you're screwed. You have to buy a new card. These you can actually repair, which is the fun part about vintage computing. A lot of the stuff you can actually repair yourself because it's all discrete components. Even the ICs, you could probably, even if an IC goes bad, you could probably get one again. It might be hard to find one, but these are replaceable, like user replaceable, even though they probably didn't want you doing so. And that's an 8-bit ISA slot there. That is this card. Next card
Floppy controller
is the floppy controller, but this is a floppy/parallel card. Although I don't know if they called this parallel back then. It's a printer port because it's designed to be used with a printer. But it also has the floppy port up there. It looks like there's the connector it would go with, and then that would plug into the floppy drive behind there into the card edge connector. On this board you have another crystal right there. It's a 15 megahertz crystal, 16 megahertz crystal. And up there you have another NEC chip, along with other chips here to do various things, along with more discrete components, including like what looks like a transistor and a little IC right there, like an 8-pin IC. There's some more diodes and resistors and whatnot. I love that about these old machines, that they're just discrete components that you can identify. And what Graver 42 mentioned earlier that's interesting.
The whole board was tinned. The
whole board, they didn't solder mask the traces. They're all visible. So if a trace were to go bad, you could repair it without having to use a screwdriver and scrape off the solder mask. Same with the bottom. You can really see the traces on the bottom. I wonder if that's significant right there, that number there. Ah, there's a board number right here. Revision F.
This is actually original Compaq Part 2.
Yeah, this is original to the machine. 1982. There you go. The only thing that doesn't seem original to the machine are possibly the memory chips down there. And this. This is something I've only ever seen once. And that is a Plus Hard Card 20, which means this is a 20 megabyte hard drive on its own ISA card. It's not an actual controller, it's all just built in. So this is when they started to sort of integrate everything together. And the curious thing is on the board they have a bunch of chips that are in actual IC sockets, so you can take these out and replace them if you need to. Look at that one.
Chip too.
There's the Plus chip, which is probably the circuitry for the hard drive. I think this whole board is actually circuitry for the hard drive there.
Mm-hmm.
None of that's on the actual board. There's like a little capacitor there. There's a few crystals there. Looks like there's some actual adjustments there. Not sure what those are for, but you can adjust those with a Phillips head screwdriver.
That's scary.
This is the drive the machine was running off of. Before that, I think a hard drive controller was in its ISA slot because of that hard drive with the card edge connector that's in here. That's probably an MFM drive. This card, or this hard drive, I don't know if it's MFM, RLL, or something completely different. Again, if anybody knows more about these Plus Hard Card 20s, please leave comments or video responses or something, because I'd definitely like to know more about these, considering this is one of the only I've seen. But this is the only IBM clone I've ever seen either, so that speaks for itself. This hard drive has MS-DOS 6 installed on it. I'd show that to you, but unfortunately the onboard display is not working properly. And we don't have a CGA monitor.
I'm sad.
Sad face. So I'd love to show you this thing running, but phones. Telephone. Like I was saying, I'd love to show you this machine running, but unfortunately, it just we don't have the equipment to do so. But I thought you guys might like to see inside an old Compaq luggable machine. These are interesting machines, and I'd love to be able to use one of these, but that might have to come at a later date. Maybe I'll get my hands on a PC clone at some point, who knows, but this is great for 42s, luggable, Compaq, 8288 based IBM PC portable.
I can give a little bit of backstory too.
More backstory?
A little bit.
Story time.
Well, as far as I know, this was used by my grandmother who used to work at the township, and it was in the hands of someone who knew what they were doing. One of my dad's friends who knew, at the time, a lot about the computer technology, and he was the one who did a lot of the upgrades. I wouldn't even be surprised if there were custom drivers written on this thing for use with DOS 6.0.
That would be crazy. Absolutely.
In fact, maybe you can enlighten us, Dad?
What?
What do you know about this machine?
Not that much. I mean, other than something fried in it. Got smoked.
Got smoked.
We had just finished doing upgrades and stuff to it.
What is the story behind these Plus hard cards? I've never seen one of these before.
Don't know.
Okay.
There's your answer.
I personally haven't worked on that.
It's just
Yeah.
it's an unusual setup. And there you have it.
That's the computer that I learned how to program on.
Well, there you go. Well, that is this IBM PC 8288 clone. Portable version. A luggable.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed taking a look at this, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.